Leo, what's going on? You know that my ruling planet is in Leo, right? And, yeah. So let me go ahead and put these cards together and shuffle them for you, Leo. How's it been going? This has been a Pisces full moon. This is kind of like way around on the other side to you. But, you know, in esoteric astrology, the sun rules Leo, but I think that the sun veils Neptune or something like that in esoteric astrology. So it really is talking about creativity, imagination, you know, that type of thing. Your birthday season just ended. How was that? We are now in your second house, especially if you're a Leo rising. Then we're in your second house of earned income, which will be Virgo for you if you're a Leo rising, and that's awesome. And if you're a Leo in general, what's your second house of earned income? Look at that, you know? Okay, so let me go ahead and do this one more time, I think. Yeah. Leo. I know a lot of Leos, y'all. All right, here we go. I'm using the Druidcraft Tarot, the Hangman, which talks about a point of waiting, right? What are you sacrificing? Are you sacrificing your time, right? What might you need to learn, right? The Hangman is Neptune. It's talking about giving in to something, yeah? You might even feel like you can't really do anything right now. You're like, I'm kind of like at a holding point, you know? You may not even know how you feel about something. It's like mixed feelings, perhaps. You know? It could have to do with mixed feelings about your environment. It could have to do with mixed feelings about, you know, if how a situation might be growing or developing, or maybe not, right? Neptune actually rules this full moon. So we're looking at how you have grown and where you might have been like, I don't know, unaware of some things. Because this talks about focus as well. Let me look at this card. Yeah, I feel like you're just kind of like waiting for the right moment for something to kind of like clear. You know, there's a little bit of confusion here. You may not even know like how you feel about something, you know? It's very much in a process of discovery. And I feel like there's more for you to discover. You just have to kind of like wait. This is spiritual guidance, you know, divine guidance. And I feel like you are not using any force here, right? So you're trying not to force a situation, you know? Maybe that's why the sun veils Neptune in esoteric astrology, because the sun rules Leo, and Leo is kind of like the strength card, you know? So and this card is talking about like not even really using a lot of strength, you know? It's gathering spiritual strength, you know? So that when you come out of this situation, you will have learned something. You know, it's learning something as you're going through a situation of feeling like restricted, restrained, right? And I feel like you might even feel kind of exposed, vulnerable. So Leo, you're feeling vulnerable to something. Vulnerable to knowing something, perhaps, because it's a Hangman, it's 12, it's 3. You might be feeling vulnerable to how a situation has developed. And you could be uncomfortable with how a situation has developed. I think I just said that twice. I'm sorry. The Ten of Swords, right. Look. So it does talk about completion. It does talk about ruin, and it does talk about feeling vulnerable to something and feeling kind of intimidated by knowing something or by what you might be thinking. You're having intimidating thoughts, right? That might be ruining your perception of something. But this is also like feeling psychologically wounded. You know what I mean? Or just, this is like a psychological weight. You know, really your mind is your mind. It's no one else's mind. And both of these cards have to do with like thinking and solitude. You know? So you may not know what to do about a situation. There may not be a point of rescue. You might be feeling like you want to rescue somebody, or you might be feeling like you want to save somebody, right? Because the Hanged Man here, it's almost like, oh my God, I feel like we want to go and save this person and cut them down and get them off of here. You know what I mean? Because we might be knowing what somebody's going through, but we may not be able to do anything about it. In both of these situations, right? It's like in the Hanged Man, this weapon could be used to help. And in the Ten of Swords, these weapons were used to definitely hurt. And these are hurtful words, perhaps, because it's Gemini, it's talking about communication, right? That type of thing that ended something. This could also be like feeling overwhelmed by the amount of communication, or overwhelmed by communication. You know, maybe you've just spent so much time talking about something that you're tired of talking about it. You know, tired of thinking about it. That type of thing. So I feel like the time will come when you cut yourself down from here and stop sacrificing yourself, or stop feeling like, you know, a martyr. Let's look at what the other card is. Here we have 7 minutes. The Nine of Pentacles. Okay. So this says that you done came down. Eventually, child. But you're going to be focusing on yourself still. Okay. You were here. You ain't got no clothes on. And now you're here. But this talks about a point of self-discovery, just as this one does too. A point of discovery. But this is like coming down now. You know, there's a lot that has happened, and you put some things behind you. This is Venus in Virgo. So this is like Venus being 12 signs away, 12 signs behind. Right? Because Venus in Virgo, Venus wants to be in Libra. So it's almost like Venus being in her 12th house. Of what's hidden. Also of hidden enemies. Also of blockages. Also of self-undoing. Right? So this could be just focusing and spending time, right? Because it's talking about focusing your foundational energy, spending time developing that. What are your daily practices? Bringing beauty and health together, you know? But it definitely is talking about creating boundaries so that you can be productive. Be practical, be logical about what it is that you want. We're talking about productivity. Okay? So that's good. You're going to stop feeling like a victim, and then you're going to start just kind of like doing what you know you need to do. Right? That type of thing. Let's look at what's behind the Hanged Man. Justice. Okay, look. The Hanged Man is Neptune, and this is Pisces. And this is still related to the Empress. And this is the Justice card, which talks about balance, truth, fairness. And it also talks about Every action deserves a reaction, you know? So how are we reacting? You know? And the Justice card does talk about security and comfort to a degree. It talks about friendship, definitely, because it's an 11. So it's related to the 11th house of Aquarius. So we could be dealing with an Aquarius. We could be dealing with a Libra. We could be dealing with this energy of Neptune or Pisces, right? Or feeling like something can't be helped, right? That type of thing. Also, it's like, what is fair? It would be fair to come and help this person, right? But also the Justice card is like talking about communication. So sometimes if you need help, you should say you need the help, right? Yeah. And it's kind of like consequences, because the Justice card is Libra, and Libra's ruled by Venus, but it's also got Saturn exalted there. So this is knowledge or information that has brought about this reaction or this response, right? But it's like somebody feels like this is fair. Somebody feels like it's fair. Somebody might feel like it's unfair. And somebody is trying to stay in control of how something affects them. So that's probably why they think this might be fair. This is the who, how, what, where, and why. So it's like, bam, the Hangman. It's like, okay, so questions. Why? Who, what, where, why, when? Okay? Does anybody remember Nick News W5? I feel like I ask people that. What would you do? What would you do? Right? Because Libra does ask, what would you do? Because that's what Aries is doing, right? The sign that's across from Libra. What would you do? Relationships, right? Look. Damn. 10 of Swords and then the 8 of Swords. Control. Try to control your thoughts. Try to not let them get away from you, because it's Gemini, right? And it's Jupiter in Gemini. So it's like, don't let your thoughts get away from you, right? Stop letting them go all over the place. It's kind of like these thoughts are not your friend, right? And it's almost kind of like they are making you fear what you don't know. You know what I mean? That type of thing. It's almost kind of like you feel tied, bound. Here, it's almost like your feet and your hands are tied. But not always completely. Because both of these photos show how things can change. Right? Because they're both mutable. But it talks about a point of waiting for things to change so that some growth can be experienced in some kind of way. But then this also talks about your perception and what you think and how it could be getting the best of you. The best of you. But, you know, these are boundaries that have to be set in place. And here's the 3 of Cups, which talks about, you know, things getting better. You know, it's Mercury in Cancer. And we're talking about Mercury being in a sign of healing, right? And we're talking about accessing things in our environment that are going to be very conducive to our healing. How is this situation inviting us to exercise a level of understanding that might actually be helpful to us in this situation? So if I know something, then I feel something. And if I feel something, then that triggers a passionate response. Anyway, this is saying that things are definitely going to improve and they're going to get better. But try not to get lost in your emotions, right? Bye, Leo.